Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member, for this bill hearing on my bill, which would make much-needed improvements to the Purchased and Referred Care Program within IHS. The Hippocratic Oath tells us to first do no harm. I'm not a medical provider, but of course I've heard that 100 times, do no harm. Unfortunately, we're not living up to those principles with regard to the PRC and the IHS. I'd take a step back and explain what our witnesses know all too well. Of course, we have the Purchased and Referred Care Program to fill the gaps in IHS. When somebody needs a service that IHS does not provide, they can be referred out. Of course, there's a process for that. Existing law says that the tribal citizens are not responsible for the payment of those services. That obligation really belongs to IHS. Section 222 already makes that clear. Current law also says that IHS must pay completed PRC claims within 30 days of completion. Now we come to the problem. We have a 2020 HHS Office of Inspector General report that says that 32,000 claims during the investigated time were not paid within the 30-day time frame. Of course, this puts providers in a bad spot as well. All too often, they are not knowledgeable about the existing rules requiring that it is IHS on the hook and not the tribal citizens. They will, unfortunately, in many cases, when they don't get paid and they don't get paid and they don't get paid, they will turn these claims, that number one, they will submit them to the IHS enrollee. Of course, many of the tribal citizens know that this is not their bill to be paid, so they don't pay it. And so then the provider will turn this claim over to a credit rating agency, which can cause a series of, as Chairman Whiteclay said, cascading problems, a cascade of issues. When your credit report is hit, that makes it more difficult to get loans. Of course, that means it's more difficult to get a home. That means it's more difficult to get cars. Why? We don't have to have these ripple of effects if we would just have a system that worked better. That is really, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member, at the heart of this bill. The bill is straightforward insofar as it does just three things. Number one, it strengthens Section 222 by making it even more clear that tribal citizens, IHS enrollees, are not obligated to make these payments. This is the responsibility of IHS alone. Number two, it instructs the Secretary that he or she is required to do a better job of letting PRC providers and patients know that the patients are not to be held liable for any of these debts. And then number three, it also holds IHS accountable by making sure that they pay patients within, to the extent the patients voluntarily opt into making some of these payments. If they provide that evidence to IHS, IHS has 30 days to make the patient whole. So again, relatively straightforward, but addressing a much-needed problem. I want to offer a special thank you to Chairwoman Alkier. We all know that being an effective leader in Indian country is pretty difficult. Because you have lots of competing demands and there's kind of a patchwork quilt of various jurisdictions. I would note that not only does she have to deal with the state of South Dakota and Congressman Dusty Johnson, what is much worse is that she has to deal with North Dakota's Kelly Armstrong in the House as well. And yet she does a wonderful job. And then I also want to thank Chair Erickson for the Colville tribes. This idea really was advanced, obviously, by a number of different tribal nations, but none more than the Colville tribes, who were passionate, focused, and data-driven on explaining the problem to us. It is an honor for me, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member, to be in the presence of great tribal leaders who are helping us tell this story so we can get it right. And with that, I would yield back.
Thank you.